started with the stocking, we will be starting working in the round into a magic circle or a magic ring. If you've never done that, I have a slower tutorial to get you started. And we'll be working it from the toe up. So we'll work the toe, the foot of the stocking. We're going to chain some stitches and make an opening for an afterthought heel that we'll come back and work later. Then we'll work the top leg of the stocking and then the top ribbing. So we're going to go ahead and get started by doing a magic ring or magic circle. And we're going to single crochet 8 stitches into this ring. Now here's the part I want you to be conscious of. When you pull up that second loop on your hook, before you yarn over to pull through and complete that first single crochet stitch, you want to make sure that you're pulling the second loop up a bit higher than you normally would. The reason why is we will be working split single crochets in this pattern. And those, if you don't bring up that second loop, can be quite tight to work into. So you want to make sure that second loop comes up a bit higher. Now, can you do this toe in single crochet and then switch to the split single crochet? You can. Some people find that easier to do if they don't like working these initial stitches in the round in split single crochet. So we're going to be going into this first stitch for our round 2. So I have 8 stitches inside of this magic ring, and normally we would insert our hook up here and do our first single crochet stitch, but we are not working a regular single crochet stitch. We are going to be working a split single crochet, which means that we're going to find this very first V. The front of our stitch has a V on it, and we will be entering right into the center of that V. So between these 2 legs, right through the center of the V, through the front of it. And on the back side, we're going to be coming out right between the upside down V. So sometimes it's nice to grab a needle, place it through so you can see the construction of the stitch and you know where you're going to enter and exit. So right through the center of the V on the front side, and on the back side, we're coming right out the center of the upside down V. And that's how we make a split single crochet. If these ever feel super tight or super hard to do, it's most likely because when you're creating your stitch that you're working into, it might have been created a bit too tight. So that's when you want to make sure when you yarn over and you pull up that loop, you're pulling it up about twice as high as you normally would. You really want this to pull up higher, and that's what will make all the difference in how much you struggle with this stitch. And you really shouldn't be struggling with it. It should work as easy as a single crochet once you master knowing the anatomy of the stitch and where to enter. So I'm simply going to be single crocheting 1 stitch in each stitch around. So we're not increasing here, we're just single crocheting 8 stitches around. You'll also notice I have not closed my magic ring. I find it easier to work this round before closing my magic ring because it gives these stitches a bit more space before pulling them tightly, and that will make it a little bit easier for me to figure out where to enter each of those stitches around. So I'm just doing 8 single crochet stitches for round 2, and we'll be working these in that split single crochet manner. You'll notice that on this first round I'm checking the front and the back of each stitch. Just that very first time you're working these stitches in a round, it's just getting used to where we're going to enter. And I find that if I can get this round good, the rest of the rounds go a lot easier. So now I can go ahead and pull my tail end tight. So now that's closed. And now we're going to go ahead for round 3, and we're going to do an increasing round. So I'm going to move my stitch marker because we're not joining, we're working continuously. I'm going to go right into the first stitch of the round here, and I'm going to do 2 split single crochets into that first stitch. And be sure to mark that first stitch of the round so that you know when you've reached the end of the round. And we're going to be repeating that in each stitch. So in each stitch around, we're going to be doing 2 split single crochets. This will increase from 8 stitches to 16 stitches. And now after the end of round 3, I'm going to move my stitch marker, and for round 4, we're repeating round 2, which means we're just going to do split single crochets into each stitch around. We're not increasing stitches, the stitch count will stay the same, but we will be doing that for all the even rounds for the toe of this. So I'm simply going to split single crochet into each stitch around for round 4. Now for round 5, we are going to be increasing again. We're going to start by working 2 split single crochets into the first stitch and then marking that first stitch of the round. And then we will split single crochet 1 into the next stitch. And that's our repeat around. So we're going to do an increase where we do 2 split single crochets into the next stitch, and then we're going to do a split single crochet into the next. And this will increase our stitch count by 8 stitches. So at the end of round 5, we will have a total of 24 stitches. And then for round 6, we'll simply single crochet into each stitch around and come back for round 7. Now for round 7, we're going to be increasing again. We are going to do 2 split single crochets into the first stitch and then go ahead and mark the first stitch of the round. And then we are going to do split single crochets into each of the next 2 stitches. And that's our repeat around. So we will do 2 split single crochets into the next, and then split single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. This once again will increase by 8 stitches. So at the end of round 7, you will have 32 stitches. And then for round 8, we'll simply do a round without increasing where we split single crochet into each stitch around. So then you'll come back for round 9. Now for round 9, we're going to be increasing again, and we will be doing 2 split single crochets into that very first stitch, marking the first stitch of the round, and then we will single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And that will be our repeat around. So that is 2 single crochets into the next, split single crochets into the next, and then split single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And at the end of round 9, you will have a total of 40 stitches. And then for round 10, we're simply going to split single crochet into each stitch around. And now for round 11, we're still going to be increasing here. We're going to do 2 split single crochets into that first stitch, and then grab your stitch marker and mark the first stitch of the round. And then we will be split single crocheting into each of the next 4 stitches. And that's going to be our repeat around. So we will do 2 split single crochets in the next, and then split single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Now at the end of this round, you will have a total of 48 stitches, and then for round 12, we're simply going to split single crochet into each stitch around.